I, 35F, need advice about a situation that's getting worse by the day. I have been dating Kyle, 40M, for about 8 months now, and what started as a promising relationship has turned into a complete nightmare. Kyle has 2 kids with his ex-wife Lydia, 38F, Emma who is 10 and Lucas who is 8. Right now, Kyle and Lydia are living in the same house with his parents to maintain stability for the kids, even though they've been separated for over a year. Let me give you some background about how I got into this mess. I'm a nurse at the local hospital where I've been working for the past 7 years. Last year in March, my colleague Lisa invited me to a dinner party where I met Kyle. He was charming, intelligent, and very upfront about his situation. He told me he was separated from his wife but living in the same house for their kids' sake. According to him, they had agreed to wait 3 years before getting officially divorced, wanting to give the kids time to adjust. Kyle explained that Lydia was the one who ended things. He said she had told him they should lead separate lives and that their marriage was over. They had separate rooms, barely spoke except about the kids, and were essentially living as roommates. I know what you're thinking, red flags everywhere. But Kyle was so honest about everything, even showing me texts between them that were purely about kid-related logistics. We started as friends, talking occasionally at group gatherings. In January this year, we began dating. Before things got serious, I asked all the important questions. How did Lydia really feel about him dating? What were the custody arrangements going to be? Was he absolutely sure the marriage was over? Kyle had answers that seemed reasonable for everything. He said Lydia had already started dating too, though very discreetly to protect the kids. His parents, Tom and Mary, were nice to me when I visited. They treated me normally, which made me believe they had accepted their son's separation. The kids were sweet too. I met them after 3 months of dating, and we got along well. I made sure to never overstep or try to act like a mother figure. Things were going smoothly until I started feeling uneasy about Lydia not knowing about me. Kyle had said she knew he was dating, but not specifically about me. I didn't want to be anyone's secret. After all, if they were really separated and both dating other people, why hide? I pushed Kyle to tell Lydia about us directly. He was hesitant, saying it might complicate their living arrangement, but eventually agreed. According to Kyle, when he told Lydia about us, she said she was happy for him and wished us well. I felt relieved and thought we could all be adults about this. I was even hoping we could eventually co-parent peacefully. Boy, was I wrong. Last week, everything exploded. Lydia demanded a private talk with Kyle and dropped several bombs. She said she was going to file for divorce immediately, not in 3 years as planned. Her reason? She's claiming Kyle is having an affair with me, portraying me as the other woman who broke up their marriage. She threatened to tell Emma and Lucas that their father destroyed their family by cheating on their mother with me. But that's not all. Lydia is now demanding full custody of the kids and wants Kyle to pay half her rent when she moves out with them. She's completely changed from her initial reaction of being happy for him. The worst part is she's using the kids as bargaining chips. She knows Kyle would do anything for them, and she's using that against him. Kyle isn't handling this well at all. He's the kind of person who avoids conflict and hopes problems will magically disappear if ignored long enough. Now he's starting to resent me for pushing him to tell Lydia about us. He thinks if we had kept our relationship quiet, Lydia wouldn't be threatening to take his kids away. His parents are staying neutral, saying it's between Kyle and Lydia. But I can tell they're stressed about the whole situation. The peaceful co-living arrangement they had is falling apart, and I feel partly responsible even though I know I didn't do anything wrong. I'm stuck in an impossible position. These kids, who I've grown to care about, might end up hating me because their mother is going to tell them I'm the reason their family broke up. But that's not true. Lydia ended things with Kyle before he even met me. She told him to move on. Now she's trying to rewrite history and make me the villain. Kyle won't stand up to her. He just keeps saying we should have kept things quiet and not rocked the boat. I suggested getting legal advice, but he's afraid any legal action will make Lydia more vindictive. He's paralyzed by the fear of losing his kids. The situation is destroying our relationship too. Kyle has become distant and moody. When we're together, he's constantly checking his phone, worried Lydia might be telling the kids something about us. He's trapped between his fear of losing his kids and his relationship with me. I don't know what to do anymore. Walking away feels like letting Lydia win with her manipulation, but staying means potentially facing a lifetime of being labeled as a homewrecker. These kids will grow up believing I destroyed their family. Kyle isn't fighting for the truth, and I can't fight this battle alone. I need advice. How do I handle this situation? Should I try talking to Lydia myself? Should I step back and let Kyle handle it? Or should I just walk away before things get even worse? Update 1: I need to share what happened after my last post because things have gone from bad to much worse. Many of you suggested I talk to Lydia directly to clear the air. Despite Kyle telling me not to interfere, I decided to follow your advice. That decision opened my eyes to an ugly truth I wasn't prepared for. I messaged Lydia through Facebook, asking if we could meet to talk things through. To my surprise, she agreed right away. We decided to meet at a coffee shop downtown, away from their neighborhood. I arrived early, feeling nervous but determined to handle this maturely. When Lydia walked in, she looked nothing like the angry, unreasonable woman Kyle had described. She was well put together and surprisingly calm. We got our coffees and found a quiet corner to talk. I started by explaining my side, how Kyle had told me about their separation, how I'd waited until he assured me they were leading separate lives, and how I never meant to hurt anyone. Lydia listened quietly, and then she said something that made my blood run cold. According to her, she had never told Kyle they should lead separate lives. She never ended things with him. In fact, until she found out about me, she thought they were working on their marriage. I sat there stunned as Lydia pulled out her phone. She showed me text messages from the past year, dozens of them. There were messages about planning a family vacation to Disney World just 4 months ago. Texts discussing having another baby from 6 months back. Pictures of them celebrating their anniversary 3 months before Kyle started dating me. They looked happy, holding each other, smiling at the camera. The timestamp on a family photo from Christmas hit me hard. It was 2 months after Kyle and I started dating. They were all wearing matching pajamas, looking like a perfect family. Lydia had captioned it "Another beautiful Christmas with my love and our babies." My hands were shaking as Lydia continued showing me evidence. She had bank statements showing Kyle paying for couples' dinner dates. There were screenshots of their family group chat where they discussed future plans together. Everything pointed to an active marriage, not a separation. When I confronted Kyle about this, his whole story crumbled. He finally admitted that Lydia never ended things. He was unhappy in the marriage but didn't want to be seen as the bad guy who walked out on his family. So he made up the story about Lydia wanting to separate, thinking if he waited long enough, she would eventually want to end things herself. But it got even worse. Lydia had more to show me. She pulled up a dating app and showed me Kyle's profile, active for the past 2 years. Then she showed me messages from other women who had contacted her. Apparently, I wasn't the first person Kyle had tried this with. He had been telling the same story to different women for years, that he was separated, living with his wife only for the kids, planning to divorce in a few years. Some of these women shared eerily similar stories to mine. One had even met the kids multiple times, just like I had. Kyle had been playing this game long before he met me, using the same lines, the same excuses, the same story about his wife ending things. The final blow came when Lydia revealed that Kyle's parents never knew about any separation. When she had confronted them last week, they were shocked. They had noticed Kyle acting differently but assumed it was work stress. Now they were devastated that their son had been lying to everyone and potentially scarring his children. I left the coffee shop and called Kyle immediately. When he realized Lydia had shown me everything, his entire demeanor changed. He started making excuses. He was unhappy, he felt trapped, he really did love me. He claimed his marriage was over emotionally even if not officially. But every word just made it worse. I ended things right there. I couldn't believe I had fallen for his lies and unknowingly helped him cheat on his wife. The guilt was overwhelming. Lydia and I talked more after that. Despite everything, she was surprisingly understanding. She realized I was just another victim of Kyle's lies and agreed not to tell the kids I was a homewrecker. Kyle has been trying to contact me constantly since then. He keeps sending messages saying he really loves me, that his marriage was truly dead even if it looked alive on the outside. He claims he only lied because he knew I wouldn't date him if I knew the truth. I've blocked him everywhere, but he keeps trying to reach me through mutual friends. The friends who introduced us are mortified. Lisa, who invited me to that dinner party, had no idea. Kyle had told everyone the same story about being separated. They've all cut ties with him, disgusted by his behavior and lies. I feel like such an idiot for not seeing the signs. How he always wanted to meet away from his neighborhood. Why he never posted about us on social media. His reluctance to tell Lydia about us. His constant excuses about why we couldn't go to certain places. It all makes perfect sense now. At least some good came from this. Lydia and I have reached an understanding. She knows I never intended to be the other woman, and I know now that she wasn't the villain Kyle painted her to be. We were both deceived by a man who created elaborate lies to get what he wanted. Update 2: I thought I had seen the worst of Kyle's deception, but the situation has taken an even darker turn. Last week, I received a message from a woman named Amy who had seen my social media post warning others about Kyle's lies. What she revealed showed me this wasn't just about infidelity, it was much worse. Amy dated Kyle 6 months before me. Like me, she believed he was separated from his wife and living with his parents for the kids' sake. 3 months into their relationship, Kyle started telling her about problems with Lydia. He claimed Lydia was trying to take the kids away and he needed money for legal fees to fight for custody. Amy, believing she was helping a caring father stay in his children's lives, loaned him $15,000. Kyle had shown her fake legal documents and even staged phone calls with a supposed lawyer while she was present. She only discovered the truth when she ran into Lydia at a grocery store and realized there was no custody battle. After hearing Amy's story, I started investigating. Through various social media platforms and mutual friends, I found 5 other women Kyle had dated during the past 2 years. 3 of them had similar stories about lending him money. One woman gave him $20,000 for what he claimed was a business investment. Another loaned him $5,000 for what he said was emergency surgery for Lucas, a surgery that never happened. I took all this information to Lydia. She wasn't entirely surprised but was shocked by the scale of his deception. She revealed that their family savings had been disappearing over the past 2 years. Kyle had blamed it on bad investments and market downturns. Now it seemed clear where that money had actually gone. Lydia checked their joint accounts and credit cards more thoroughly. She found charges from expensive restaurants and hotels in nearby cities, dates with different women. There were jewelry store purchases she'd never seen. The most heartbreaking discovery was that he had emptied their children's education fund 6 months ago. Tom and Mary, Kyle's parents, were devastated when they learned about the financial deception. They had already been struggling with learning about his infidelity, but this was the final straw. They kicked him out of the house and are now helping Lydia and the kids stay there while she sorts out the divorce. Kyle's response to being exposed was to go on the offensive. He started telling everyone that we were all lying, that we were just bitter ex-girlfriends trying to ruin his life. He even tried convincing his parents that Lydia had manipulated us into making false accusations about the money. But with bank statements and loan documents as evidence, nobody believed him. The mutual friends who introduced us helped spread the word in our social circle about Kyle's scams. 2 more women came forward with similar stories about lending him money. Between all of us, we've documented over $80,000 that he borrowed through deception. Amy's lawyer says proving fraud might be difficult since he convinced these women to give him money voluntarily. But Lydia's divorce lawyer thinks the evidence of him depleting family accounts and the children's education fund will help her case significantly. The most recent development is that Kyle has started claiming he has a gambling addiction and needs help, not punishment. He's trying to use this as an excuse for his behavior, but none of us are buying it. Whether he has an addiction or not, it doesn't excuse the calculated way he deceived so many people. I still can't wrap my head around how many lives he disrupted. Lydia and the kids lost their savings and security. Multiple women were scammed out of their money. His parents' trust was completely shattered. What I thought was just a man lying about his marriage status turned out to be a long con affecting many victims. Lydia is now working with her lawyer to figure out how to protect what's left of her assets. The other women and I are looking into our legal options. We know we might never get our money back, but we want to prevent Kyle from doing this to anyone else. Update 3. This will be my final update about the Kyle situation. After everything that happened, I feel everyone deserves to know how this story ended, especially since so many of you offered support and advice. The fraud case against Kyle finally moved forward. 7 women, including Amy and me, filed police reports detailing his financial scams. The total amount he borrowed turned out to be $87,000. During the investigation, they discovered this wasn't his first time doing this. He had pulled similar scams in Florida before moving here, using the same story about being separated and needing money for custody battles. Lydia's divorce was finalized last month. She got full custody of Emma and Lucas, plus the house. The judge was particularly harsh with Kyle after seeing evidence of how he depleted their family savings and the children's education fund. He's required to pay $2,000 monthly in child support, but Lydia isn't optimistic about receiving it since Kyle is currently unemployed and facing criminal charges. Tom and Mary made the decision to sell their share of the house to Lydia at a significantly reduced price. They wanted to ensure their grandchildren had a stable home. They've completely cut contact with Kyle after learning about his previous scams in Florida. Tom told our mutual friend Lisa that he no longer considers Kyle his son. The biggest revelation came from Kyle's workplace. A company audit revealed he had been embezzling money for over a year. He had been stealing from company accounts to support what turned out to be a serious gambling addiction, using the money he scammed from women to cover his tracks at work. The company fired him immediately and pressed charges. Lydia revealed that Emma and Lucas are struggling with their father's absence. They're in therapy trying to process why he left. Lydia hasn't told them about the scams or other women. She wants to protect them from that truth until they're older. For now, they only know that their father did something wrong and had to go away. Kyle tried reaching out to me one last time through a new phone number. He claimed he was getting help for his gambling addiction and wanted to make amends. He sent similar messages to all the women he scammed. None of us responded. Lydia showed me messages where he begged her not to testify against him, promising to be a better father if she helped him avoid jail. Lydia and I have developed an unexpected friendship through all this. She's focused on rebuilding her life and protecting her kids. She's gone back to school to finish her degree, determined to create a better future for her family. Last week, we learned that Kyle left the state to avoid the fraud charges and upcoming court dates. His dating profile was spotted active in Arizona, probably looking for his next victims. Lydia's lawyer is working with authorities to track him down, but so far, he's managed to stay hidden. As for me, I've finally started dating again. This experience taught me to be more cautious, but I haven't let it make me bitter. I do extensive background checks now and trust my instincts when something feels off. The support from this community helped me realize I wasn't at fault for believing someone who turned out to be a skilled manipulator. I'm sharing this final update as a warning to others. Sometimes people aren't just liars in relationships, they're liars in every aspect of their lives. I'm grateful the truth came out before more people got hurt, even though learning it was painful. Thank you all for your support throughout this journey.